more convinced that Jesse Bam Rodriguez beats him. Honestly, like for a long period of time, I thought it might be a step too far for Jesse, but now Jesse's up at bantamweight and feels big and strong there. Like, I just think he's too good for him. He's 26 years old. I don't see Bam losing to Inoue. And I thought Inoue would go through Nakatani and do a right job on it. And by all accounts, it was a very competitive fight. So respect this. He's an amazing fighter, and he's a superstar. I know Bam beats him because Bam.
Hearn supported Jesse Bam Rodriguez to beat Naoya Inoue, changing the view of the fight from a one-sided contest to a real upset chance. Timothy Bradley cautioned that even with Bam's ability, the move up in weight made him an underdog at this point.
Can he beat the monster? Can he slay the monster?
Come on, man. Come on. Look, man. There's weight classes for a reason, right? Ain't that what we say all the time? You know, I know Bam is special. Hey, look, man. Look, you gotta go up to 118, 122. You know what I mean? Like those a couple of weight classes up, Bam. I think Bam is very skillful. I love Bam. I love his style. I think the business.
Bruce Carrington noticed a clear difference in class and felt that Naoya Inoue's skill level left no real chance for an opponent looking to outbox him from a distance.
Inoue doesn't really like fight him on the outside. I think that Nakatani, that's a strong suit. I feel like it'll be an easier fight for Inoue, but Inoue's speed is just super fast. He's very explosive. I think he's quicker than Nakatani as well. Stronger. I think he's just a well-rounded fighter, and I think at this point, I don't see Inoue losing in that fight. So I'm pretty confident that Inoue's gonna, do this fight, do another one, and then come to featherweight, and I'll be right there waiting.
Bruce Carrington also said that any trip to Japan would only happen if the money and legacy factors were right, and that Madison Square Garden remains his main focus.
Up here, you know what I mean? Like, you are who you are, I get it, but I am who I am too, and I'm gonna be, one of the best ones all said and done. Y'all just don't know yet. I already know I'm the best, so I'm gonna express my limits for sure. But if it makes sense to fight in Japan, the most sense to fight right now here in the US, sure I'll fight in Japan. But if not, come to Madison Square Garden, man. Like, that's all it is, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like he could build an American market out here,
Jesse Bam Rodriguez did not hold back and made it clear he was ready to take on Naoya Inoue as soon as the chance came up. He presented himself as fearless and open to taking the biggest risk on the table.
The big elephant in the room, you and Naoya Inoue, you have a big fight coming up. He has a very big fight coming up early next month. You want to go back down, obviously, to fulfill undisputed, but what would happen if that fight came on the table?
I'm ready whenever. That fight's been brought up just as much as Chocolatito fight back then, so if that fight was presented to me right now, I'd definitely.
Jury put Naoya Inoue in a class of his own, highlighting his control in the ring and his success as a world champion. Chris Algieri thought Naoya Inoue had a solid argument for being the top pound-for-pound fighter.
The longevity, man. 28-0 in title fights, 27 consecutive title fights, taking on all comers. I know a lot of you out there haven't heard of some of the guys, but these are world-class fighters that he's stepping into the ring with time and time again. We're waking up early in the morning for years now, watching this guy put on a show. And yeah, it's not the spectacular virtuoso performance that he had against Stephen Fulton, or a knockout of Donaire, or a stoppage that he.
Bradley stood by his warning, saying that moving up in weight against Naoya Inoue's power was very risky. Timothy Bradley stressed that even top-level fighters could find it hard to handle that kind of physical force.
For a reason, right? Ain't that what we say all the time? I know Bam is special. Hey, look, man. Look, you gotta go up to 118, 122. You know what I mean? Like those a couple of weight classes up, Bam. I think Bam is very skillful. I love Bam. I love his style. I think he's a business fighter, man. One of the best.
Eddie Hearn pointed out that Jesse Bam Rodriguez was already going after the biggest fights out there, and that moving up in weight could lead to a huge matchup. Hearn felt that if the timing worked out, this fight would not only take place but also stand as one of the key bouts in boxing, with both men bringing top-level ability and real danger into the ring.
井上さんに挑戦したいと言っています。その中にバン・ロドリゲス選手もいると思います。階級をもしかしたら上げてバン選手と対戦するということは可能性はあるんでしょうか。
そうですね、彼が、階級を上げてきて、スーパーバンタム級という階級でタイミングが合うのであれば、そこは、待ち受けて。
Timothy Bradley stayed firm in his view and saw Naoya Inoue as the clear favorite because of the physical edge that would likely show up early in the fight. He believed that while Jesse Bam Rodriguez had skill, the gap in size and power could become too much once the action picked up. When you take away all the hype and fan arguments, Bradley's final take is blunt. He thinks that if the fight happens soon, Naoya Inoue is the strong favorite. He admits that Bam moves smoothly and looks great in the ring, but his analysis suggests that Inoue's accuracy and power would eventually find him, and because Bam is smaller, he would not be able to take that punishment. It is a tough opinion, but it comes from a place of respect, and Bradley is not putting him down. On the other side, Robert Garcia argued that the matchup was more realistic than many people thought. He noted that Bam and Inoue both came from the same weight class, so this was a natural fight, and not one of those reckless comparisons about big weight jumps that people kept talking about.
It's just too big of a weight class, or is this like a realistic thing for you guys?
It is very realistic. Look, Canelo started at 154, Tank at 135, so that's a big difference. With Inoue and Bam, they both started at 108. They both, it's just that Inoue's a little bit older. He's matured a little bit more body-wise and everything. That's why he's fighting at 122, not because he's a lot.
Gonzalez broke down exactly what makes Bam so hard to read. He explained that Bam's greatest tool is not his power but his skill at staying right in front of opponents while making them miss again and again, and then turning their mistakes into quick counters before they even notice what happened.
And he has the experience, throughout his years, and he has the punching power. But when people see Bam, I've heard footwork. Like, Inoue would have to watch the footwork. Like, it doesn't matter how strong or how fast, the footwork's going to get him. Is that something that you kind of can agree?
Yeah, I could definitely 100% agree with that, because, like I said, Bam's footwork is not necessarily him pressuring you with punches.
Gonzalez also cautioned that Inoue had never come across a fighter with Bam's kind of distance control and timing.
Because he's coming around, he's coming to the other side, he's coming back. You think you're just in time to hit him, he steps back and now he hits you. He's managed his distance very greatly, where he doesn't smother himself or he doesn't overreach as well. He understands the distance between sometimes an opponent, and I think about Bam, like they'll try to smother him and he'll take a little.
Chris Algieri made it clear that Inoue is the one calling the shots in boxing's biggest moves right now. Everything goes through him. If Inoue wants Bam Rodriguez, that fight takes place. If not, he can just keep moving up and go after even bigger tests at featherweight.
The question whether this fight's going to happen or not, but really, Inoue's in the driver's seat. Whatever he wants to do is what happens. If he wants to hang out for Bam, dude, Bam 100% will take the fight. If he goes, you know what, sorry kid, timing, we're passing ships in the night, I'm going to 26. I have bigger fish to catch.
Literally.
Then he goes to 26. And I don't know. So, but
I'm not sure about that, but he is a cool guy and can do whatever he wants. That said, Robert Garcia called for patience and felt that in 2 or 3 years Bam would be in his prime and a real challenge for anyone, not just Inoue. Just as Inoue is dangerous, now Garcia believed Bam was developing into that same kind of threat.
Bam for Inoue.
Well, when the time comes, 2-3 years from now, Bam will be 26, 27. He'll be in his prime. He'll be solid. He'll be strong. He'll be a grown man. So I think I think it's a problem for anybody, not just Inoue. Just like Inoue is a problem for everybody, I think Bam could be the same problem in the next 2 or 3 years for anybody.
Steven Navarro broke down why the Bam Rodriguez versus Inoue fight already looks special on paper, with 2 dominant champions' clean records and strong runs at the top. However, Navarro admitted that the matchup he was most personally excited about was Inoue versus Nakatani, calling it a stylistic clash that the boxing world was not yet fully ready to talk about. Who do you think wins, or how do you see it playing out?
Fight fan, right? That's just interested of the idea of Inoue versus Bam Rodriguez, right? I mean, why is that such a significant fight? Because some people might look at the idea of, Bam's a little smaller, hasn't made it up in that weight. But just what makes that fight, or maybe not, in your opinion, such a special or not special?
On the other hand, Show Eyes the adult noted that even the fighter himself said he was not happy with how he performed. He felt he could have done better, and that honest self-criticism is now driving the whole discussion about what fight should happen next.
Hernandez, he deserved the nod, but they gave it to Nakatani. But after Nakatani versus Hernandez performance, now we want to know, what do you want next? Inoue versus Nakatani or Inoue versus Bam Rodriguez? And a lot of you guys are hoping for Inoue versus Bam Rodriguez fight. Now, Naoya Inoue, in his post-fight interview, he was very humble about his performance, saying he didn't really...
Bruce Carrington believed that becoming a unified champion first would set everything up nicely and force Inoue to come after him. But Carrington also made it clear that he was not just another name in the division. He was confident that he could be the one to ruin that whole plan and take control of the story later on, so he would not have to worry about certain things or issues regarding his kids and similar matters. 8.
Things up my kids and things of that nature.
And is unifying against one of these guys, does that give it even more priority, like to put yourself at the front of the line for that kind of big fight ahead of the other champion?
100%, definitely. Because I know in a way he has that like real competitive mentality when he wants to just be undoubtedly known as the best. So if I was to, you know, get the unified chance to fight and then get the title, and then he comes up, he's going to be like, I want that.
And if he unifies the division by beating one of those top names, does that put him even more in the front of the line ahead of the other champions for that kind of opportunity?
It's mesmerizing at times to watch. And it's probably mesmerizing for his opponent, Darren, that he can stand in front of that power and the speed and the movement. It just sends his opponent's self-belief as he lands a sneaky body shot right there. I mean, it's that true of everything. Self-belief, your executing attack, draw it out, they both switched on. It's so difficult, but it is.
That is a fantastic...
Rodriguez or Inoue versus Nakatani, and where does Terrence Floyd Crawford fit on your Mount Rushmore? Also, who wins between Keshin Davis and Jermaine Ortiz? I am leaning toward Keshin Davis. But the thing is, he said he cleared out all the people he was connected with, and many are asking when he swept everyone up in that storm whether Bullmac was included in that cleanup, because Keshin Davis with Bullmac is like peace and care, and they have had great success together.
Because sometimes you want to throw a big punch, now they smother you, overextended, you miss. Bam understands the distance on all of that, so that's what makes him so dangerous. Is if sometimes he's a little too close, he'll take that little step back, or he'll take a little step to the side and give himself that space, and his foot, it all comes with his footwork, because he understands the distance and he plays everything with his feet.
And just unifying against one of these guys, does that give it even more priority, like to put yourself at the front of the line for that kind of ahead of the other champions?
Bam Rodriguez or Inoue versus Nakatani? And as far as Terrence Floyd Crawford, is he on your Mount Rushmore? And Keyshawn Davis versus Jermaine Ortiz, I'm favoring Keyshawn Davis, but the thing is, he said he wiped the slate clean of, you know, all the guys that he was associated with. And a lot of people are wondering, when he swept everybody up in that tornado, was Bomac a part of that sweep? Because Keyshawn Davis with Bomac is just like...
Sure, because in a way he has that real competitive drive when he wants to be clearly known as the best. So if he gets the chance to unify and wins the title, and then the other fighter moves up, he is going to say, I want that guy.
I think number 4. I still have Crawford number 1, and then Usyk Inoue, and then myself.
That fight with Inoue one day down the line?
We'll see, maybe.
Jesse, congratulations. Final message.
Robert Gonzalez pointed out that Bam's footwork and ability to control distance are what really set him apart as an elite fighter, no matter how his opponents try to come at him. Gonzalez explained that Bam always adapts and takes charge of the pace, making every exchange feel like a chess match where he is already several steps ahead.
I was out of my brother, because I gotta say my brother. Yeah. Fastest hands in boxing and etc. The creativity, all that. It's through the roof. But monster, and there we go. Monster, and who's fighting? Dave's Benavidez.
It all comes down to his footwork, because he understands distance well and uses his feet to control everything. However, Show Eyes the adult pointed out that fan demand is now influencing the biggest matchmaking choices. And if public pressure stays strong enough, Inoue versus Bam could become a real possibility much sooner than anyone expected.